we always, there's always the term like, oh, we want him to break. Like everyone's going to get to a breaking point at some point throughout the year.
Yeah, it's gonna be really, really freaking difficult.
And it's just like life. Like there's always going to be adversities, whether it's death or whether it's sickness or whether it's financial problems or job loss or something. There's always going to be like a breaking point where you have to like, find a will and a way to get through trials. So like, I don't see the Citadel as like a trial that no one cannot do. It's just, you have to not give up.
This is the formal introduction part. And Patrick Alan Buhler, is that your middle name?
It is.
Nailed it. So everyone can now find you in...
Is it L-L-E-N or A-L?
It's double L's.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Dude, I know you. I was in your wedding. Patrick Alan Buhler, thank you for being my guest today.
Sure, no problem.
On Generation Giants podcast, episode 17. We became buds at the Citadel, and I think it was sophomore year.
Sophomore year.
So we both, and I think it's cool. I think it's cool that we still are friends to this day because we basically, I almost feel like if there's anyone in the world that's lived a parallel, I don't know, life to me, it'd be you. Because you went to the Citadel with me.
Yep.
Same major.
Yep.
We did triathlon together for a little bit.
We did.
I'm still trying to get on your bench press level because you do bench 3 times a day, every day.
I don't.
You just walk on your hands whenever you can. Handstand walking, and I'm just trying to like put up like the bar, but I'm trying to get on your level. And then we worked for the same engineering firm.
Yep.
For a little while.
We did.
And then you still work at your engineering firm, and I've since come over here to a firm on Daniel Island. But we both got our PEs recently, pretty much the same time. You took the test a little earlier than me.
Yeah, I think I took it in the spring. I think you took it the following fall.
Yeah. So put a little extra pressure on me to pass. You had another chance, but you passed with flying colors. For those listening, PE is a professional engineering exam. So that's how we get to stamp things now.
Kyle, we could start our own firm right now since we're both PEs.
Dude, we could. What would we call it? Taylor and Buhler?
I think Buhler and Taylor.
No, Taylor and no, that definitely doesn't ring as good.
Well, we could.
How about just Taylor and Associates?
All right, now you're leaving me completely out of this. So
this is going well. Dude, we could kill it. Maybe one day. And so let's start talking about the Citadel a little bit because, there's going to be some listeners that are curious about the Citadel, whether they're, high school students or students maybe thinking about transferring, or they're just parents and they're just like, I don't feel comfortable taking my baby to the Citadel where there's hazing. Yeah. Because that's all they do at the Citadel is haze. And you don't get an education at all. You just get hazed and shine a belt, right?
Yeah. So, like your father, my dad also went to the Citadel.
Right,
so
legacy.
We were both introduced to the school earlier on. My dad used to take me to get haircuts there growing up. Well, so that's
to
like,
the haircut
that's
to the barbershop.
So
that's hilarious.
Yeah, I'd say, hey, can I get a little trim? And they're like, okay, and buzz me off.
Yeah, just a little trim.
And then my uncle went there, and I've just always kind of been around the school, so I kind of knew a lot about it. But my dad, I guess he wanted it to be my own decision if I wanted to go there. So he never like encouraged or discouraged me, but just like let me know that was like a good option in his eyes. So kind of made that decision for myself. So yeah.
I kind of decided late junior year of high school, I think, because my dad was a 75 grad. He served in Vietnam, got on the GI Bill to go to the Citadel after his service, and so. But I grew up going to the basketball camp and everything. I don't know if you ever went to the basketball camp. I never did like the Citadel summer camp or anything, but it never really appealed to me until probably I was around 17. I mean, it appealed to me in some other ways, but never really wanted to commit to going until I was probably about 17.
Yeah.
And so I don't know for you, at least for me, I wanted a different college experience, which I think the Citadel offers. And I think there's kind of a misconception with like what the Citadel is and like what if you don't want to go to the military. So neither of us went to the military.
Yep. I mean, it was something I thought about, but especially once I started like getting into my major, it's something like I really wanted to do. So, once we graduated, I just wanted to get into the workforce and start designing things. So,
Right.
um,
So let's go back and talk. So there's a lot of funny and dumb stuff
I don't know how much I can say
that we do. The names will be modified as necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But I can definitely remember dumb stuff. We go back, especially to knob year. I'll even go back. I did the pre-knob thing.
I didn't do that. That's the high school visit.
No, not the shadowing thing.
Oh.
It was called CSI. It's
yeah,
basically a month where you go during the summer and you live in the barracks and you get like an upperclassman leader. And it's like a introduction.
And these are already people that are committed to going the following year.
Right.
It's kind of get like a little bit of a step ahead.
You
might get a couple college credits or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, my mom, so I was an only child, so I don't know, she felt like it would help me survive or something. And so I went, and I got like 3 college credits, made some awesome friends. Some of the friends I made during that stay were probably some of my like greatest friends, even more than the people I met actually being at Citadel. But I can still remember, we'd like be walking around the campus, and you can't walk certain places. We'd be walking around, and there would be summer school students also living in the barracks, like yelling out the window. They just loved us because we were just like not even knobs yet. And they would just yell stuff out like, "You're gonna die!" Mm-hmm. Like kind of threatening stuff. And we were just 18. We didn't know if anything was serious or not. Mm-hmm. They kind of try to scare you. And yeah, we would, I just remember we even started like a book. I don't know if this book still exists, but Malay, I believe my buddy Malay in band, I don't know if you can remember these guys.
Mm-mm.
I think he started a book anyway. And we made a book of like the dumb things that people said to us and like laughed about it afterwards. Because that's the thing, like you may be afraid in the moment or something at certain things or threats or whatever. I'm joking now, but some of the things actually like people seem legitimately angry at you. But afterwards you just kind of laugh at it, which I think is good.
It's all a game.
Yeah, it's kind of all a game in a sense. Certainly some of it is serious, and a lot of the guys, maybe 40% go into the military, and that's serious stuff. But yeah, a lot of it's kind of just playing a game. And so maybe Hell Week.
Yeah.
I can remember, and I don't know if you can remember back during Hell Week. I remember one dumb thing I did that I still sometimes tell people. So we had to wear our ACUs for the first time, the camo uniform for those listening. And so it can get pretty hot. It's like wearing a thick sweater, kind of.
Yeah.
And it's like August.
And boots.
And long pants. Yeah.
It's 100 degrees outside and humid and...
Yeah, it's... right. So we're wearing just full... It's not quite like full dress. It's somewhat of a baggy uniform, but you're fully clothed. And I remember I put on an Under Armour shirt under it because you're supposed to wear the gray undershirt, cotton. I thought I was being smart, so I put on an Under Armour shirt. And I reported downstairs.
You gotta be different, Kyle.
I reported downstairs, and I think this was the most that I got racked out, like yelled at, like half an inch from my ear, screaming. I can still remember the upperclassman that did it. Great guy. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, "What are you doing, Taylor? What are you doing?" And he's just like yelling at me. Some of them have like that voice.
Yeah.
And I think I had to do a lot of push-ups, and I had to go back and change. That was kind of the bottom line there. But I remember that was one of the first few days of Hell Week, the first week that you're there. But did you have any stories in a Hell Hotel that you can remember from way back when?
I mean, there's a lot of stories. I just remember one thing distinctly, and this was like during parade. When you're doing, I guess we did parade rest, and one of the guys, or not parade rest, but we, man, it's been so long. What's it called? Where you
present arms?
Present arms. There you go. And one of my fellow classmates, and we were knobs at the time, when they were shooting the cannons at parade, he pulled his trigger, and you could hear it. Like he had it he had the bolt pulled back, and he pulled the trigger to where the bolt springs.
Right.
And so like everyone kind of heard it, and some of the upperclassmen were like looking around and realized it was a knob. And after parade, there was a intense PT session for about 4 to 5 hours, and my parents were at parade since I was local, and they were going to take a lot of my friends and me home afterwards, and then they're just like sitting outside the barracks, like all the other companies have left,
Right.
and all the knobs are being held back for 4 or 5 hours, and this is after all the administration has leaved after the day on Friday, so like no one saw anything of what was going on, and it was a lot at the time, and like a couple of kids like quit afterwards, and it was just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think my parents knew something was going on, but they didn't want to like raise the issue, and like I don't know, but
Right.
stuff does happen, but I don't know. You just kind of roll with it, and I think the school has changed a lot since then. I mean, there's a new commandant on and other things like that. But I mean, overall, it's just been like a really cool experience. Like when I think about my friends nowadays, I mean, I'm still keep in touch here and there with some people from high school, but for the most part, like all the guys I'm friends with and keep in touch with are all guys I graduated from Citadel with. Like my wedding, for instance, like every single one of my groomsmen were all grads. And so I feel
Right.
like, sometimes you meet, some of them are like guys that you went hell week through all the way to graduation. Other guys you meet along the way. But it's like a cool bond that you share with, your classmates and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think part of that, drew me to go to school. The other part is like, I didn't know how well I would do having like full freedom. Like if I went to like a, Clemson or whatever,
Right.
I don't, not like I would be like a dropout and like, screwing up and stuff, but like
Right.
I felt like I needed a little bit of structure to kind of like keep me in line. So I don't know, that was probably another one of the reasons why I went.
Yeah. Yeah, and you did really well there. I mean, if we even want to touch on going towards senior year, you were the second in command for the 2nd Battalion?
Yep.
You were the 2nd Battalion XO,
Yep.
executive officer,
There you
underneath Mike Hagan.
Mike
our buddy,
Hagan.
Our buddy Mike,
Yeah.
Big Mike. He's now Army, right?
He's Army, and I haven't been meaning to get in touch with him for a little while, but he's been deployed a few times. I think he's up out in Bragg, up around Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a boss.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a beast. And so senior year, you were 2nd Battalion XO, and I ended up being a private, the senior private.
Nothing wrong with being a private,
Ain't
man.
nothing wrong with it. I don't know if I filled the party animal stereotype of the senior private. I don't know if I filled that necessarily. So, but yeah, it was interesting because I was platoon sergeant junior year, not cadre platoon sergeant.
But
Just platoon sergeant, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so, as platoon sergeant, you get squad sergeants underneath you, and you're kind of supposed to lead 3 or 4 squad sergeants, and then they lead their 8 or 9 cadets.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And then you had to yell cadence marching around.
Yeah.
So that was always one of the wild cards of the platoon sergeants. Like, what's their cadence going to sound like?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of funny. And so I got to do that junior year, and then not to maybe go into the story right now, but I wanted a regimental position. I don't know if you remember. I was going for a regimental athletic officer.
Yeah.
And got interviewed for it, and I probably didn't seem like the most obedient person. I don't think. I'm sure there were other reasons, but
Yeah.
I remember telling them like, I think athletics should be stressed more, and like we should do yada yada, and like not go with the status quo.
Yeah.
Because at the time, and it's changed now, but at the time you could be an upperclassman, just not PT at all. You'd be overweight.
Mm-hmm.
You could do like a bicycle PT test or something. I forget.
Yeah. So like, I don't know exactly what it was. The standard PT test was, push-ups, sit-ups, run 2 mile. I think even the PT test has changed a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. But, I guess for guys that there was a bike option
Right.
for some people that I don't know why you couldn't run go on the Citadel, but
Yeah.
there was like a bike option where, you had a bike so many miles under a certain time.
Well, it was like a stationary bike
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, not like you're biking in the road.
Right.
But, yeah.
That's too unsafe. Yeah. And speaking of biking, we had fun. I remember you got your Fuji bike.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're jumping around a little bit. But when I met you sophomore year,
Yeah.
we were partners, in a project?
It was a program called MathCAD,
Yeah.
and we had to I don't even know exactly what the project was, but it was like a small group project where they give you a bunch of information. You had to be able to put it in some kind of formula to where I don't know, spit out some results that you needed.
Yeah,
and
spits it out somehow.
So me and you were grouped up on that project. So that's kind of how we met, through there.
If I'm not mistaken, it was something about wells and well pumps, drawing aquifer water or something.
Sure.
All right. I could just say anything. It was about building a 100-story structure.
Yeah.
No, I think it was well pumps, because I remember we had to make a video, I think, if I'm thinking correctly. We had to make a video.
Oh, maybe it was something like the well drawdown.
Yeah, the
or something.
drawdown. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I've used.
Of the aquifer.
Something that I've used all the time in my profession since then. I did have to relearn it for the PE test, or I attempted to relearn it. And then shortly thereafter, I was captain of a triathlon team, so you got into triathlon a little bit.
Yeah, did a few.
And we did some good rides together.
Mm-hmm.
Did some good rides around Hampton Park, bike rides, and I guess we probably went elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I remember riding that 1 mile loop.
Yeah, there's not many good places to ride in downtown Charleston near school. And there's a circle that was exactly 1 mile, and we would just ride it over and over and over again. And
or at least that was what I did, because I was captain of the team. I said, "This is what we're gonna do today."
Yeah, let's ride this 60 times.
Yeah,
and then I feel like all I can do is making left-hand turns. Then once you're done, you're like, "Oh crap, I got to actually start making some right-hand turns."
Dude, I was legitimately worried my first race. I was like, I don't know if I can right-hand turn.
I've only done left-hand turns my whole entire life.
It's like NASCAR driving.
Yeah.
What if they had to go in reverse?
Watch out.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever do or not. I don't know. I think they just always turn left. Have you seen the South Park on that?
No.
NASCAR?
No.
I don't remember much of the episode. I just remember Cartman making fun of NASCAR. Not that I'm anti-NASCAR, but he was, I think, making fun of NASCAR, and he was a NASCAR driver, and he was saying something like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a NASCAR driver. I'm gonna turn left, and then I'm gonna turn left again." I just remember that part of. So that's kind of what we were doing for bicycle training.
Yeah.
Cycling, triathlon training. And we had fun that summer too. Did the sprint triathlon together.
Yep, did a couple. There's one out in Mount Pleasant, then we did a couple of the James Island races. So
yeah. And so aside from endurance, so like I said, you do bench 3 times a day every day, and repping out hundreds of pounds. What are your tips for being an awesome bench presser?
I'm not an awesome bench presser. I don't know where you're getting all this.
Dude, no,
crap.
don't be bashful. How do you?
I mean, I lift a few times a week now. I mean, I don't. When we were in school, for those that don't know anything about the Citadel, you only can leave campus so often. So if you're not doing schoolwork, you're not sitting around. The only thing to do is go to the gym. So everyone went to the gym twice a day, every day. So it wasn't really that hard. I mean, now I just try to stay somewhat in shape and not be fat and be, just trying to stay healthy.
It's a good strategy.
Yeah. So
avoiding the alumni gut.
Yeah, a lot of alumni have the big old beer gut, and
yeah,
can't have that.
So you mentioned 400 pounds now or 500?
No.
All right.
No.
All right. Well, I understand you're being bashful.
Nope.
Well, you can tell me behind the scenes. You can give me some more tips. I'm still doing. I had that injury kind of recently. I don't even know if I told you, an adductor injury. So I kind of got off of weights a little bit, getting back into it, trying to get the power lifts and weight lifts back up. But yeah, trying to get that bench back up, man. I think it was highest when I was in high school.
No way.
Yeah, dude. Because in high school, I didn't do any endurance stuff.
I don't know. I don't lift super heavy anymore. I'll do stuff anywhere from 5 to 10 reps a set. I don't try to go for maxing out and that kind of stuff anymore. I just don't want to mess anything up.
Right. Yeah. You got a wife now.
I do.
You got support.
I do.
Although she's a registered nurse.
She is.
Either of you could probably go down for a month and it'd be perfectly okay.
Let's not go there though.
Y'all are no. Y'all will never get. Y'all are not gonna get sick. Y'all are not gonna be, able to not work or make money or anything. Yeah, but I will highlight, and I do mean this, emphasize that, like, you're my age, you're 26.
Yep.
And, I mean, already, I think we're doing pretty well for sort of our age demographic. You know, we're not necessarily the best, probably not even in the top 1%, but I think it's very rare for people in their mid-20s to, like you, own a home. You own your second home. Well, you know, you bought one home, sold it.
Yeah.
Now you own your second home, just bought it.
Yeah.
A month or two ago.
Yep, 2 months ago.
Which is super exciting. You know, and I'm assuming you made some profit from the first home, increasing in value. That, you know, it made sense to do that. You got married right out of school. You know, great job, steady job, got your PE.
Yeah.
So you're doing it, man. Keep up the good stuff.
I mean, you know, I feel like that's just like an area where, you know, people might look at me or people like, I don't know, fellow coworkers that don't have a house, or just I don't know, other people like in the neighborhood, like, oh my gosh, you know, you're so young and here, you know, like when I moved into the home right away, like it's a little bit of an older, more established neighborhood, and the person that lived across the street from us, he's an older gentleman, and he said, is your parents home? Like, he thought I was like the kid of the house, like, you know. So I mean,
dude, mid-20s struggles, man. People just think like we put a hat on. People just think we're still in high school, man.
So, you know, I mean, I do feel like, you know, we're both doing well, but I think a lot of it has to attribute just to, you know, God giving us wisdom, making right decisions, and, you know, having someone that's like speaking truth into your life, making, you know, walking you through big decisions is key in that. So, you know, both of my father and also my wife's father, you know, I go to them for advice when it comes to any kind of like big decision, and, you know, I think just be able to bounce things off of people and hearing their advice is key to making sound decisions. Otherwise, like, you know, there might be a lot of things that I might want that are not needs, that might not be good financial decisions, that, you know, I could be in a hole with that if I went through just by my own gut. So,
yeah.
Like, for instance, me and a friend, we went to school together. We always had the idea of just like owning some property together. And we were dead set for like a whole year buying some land down towards Edisto Beach, and eventually building, like, it was like a 5-acre property on this nice neighborhood that has like a boat landing and all this stuff. And the property was down there still kind of cheap because it's a little ways away from Charleston. And we're like dead set on this. And so we were starting looking at all these properties. I'm even actually going out to the properties and like kind of walking around, like, all right, you know, if we're going to do this, like, I want to make sure we can get permits for like septic, and like, well, how we're going to get water, like how are we going to do this?
Oh, wow.
And what's
you're looking at it from a very engineer mindset.
Yeah.
This
so
was
like,
fairly recently.
This was like
years ago?
2 years ago. This is after we kind of bought the first house, and we're kind of like, you know, what other stuff, you know.
And so you and a buddy from the Citadel,
we're like
thinking about buying property for what, like hunting? Or
no,
something?
this was just like for like, not like a vacation home, but just like, I don't know, just like some of it was just for like a financial like investment, because, you know, property in Charleston, you know, it goes up really fast in value.
Yeah, the market's just hot right now, because that's what we both do.
Yeah,
for the, you know, site development engineering,
especially like property near water and stuff like that. And so we were kind of like just, you know, thinking of a cool opportunity to be able to do some stuff. And like on his side of the family, they have a bunch of contractors, so we're talking about like building like a place out there together, like actually building a house ourselves. Just nothing crazy, just like, you know, just a little small thing. And, you know, over time, like, my dad was just like telling me, I don't know if that's like the best decision. Like, you know, you probably can see yourself down there, you know, working on the weekends and stuff. But like, as life gets busier and you add kids into the equation and other things like that, like, you're not going to have the time that you think you're going to be able to drive an hour and a half away to go work on this little side project type thing. And like, I'm so glad that I didn't, because, and I was so dead set on it. And I'm just glad I didn't, because, you know, I wouldn't be in the position I am now, you know, to buy this other home that we have, and just be able to have just a little bit of, you know, financial security and other, you know, other things pop up you have to spend resources and time and money on. So yeah. But at the same time, like, if I was to say, you know, yeah, it's by my work ethic and by my hard work and my decisions that I've made that here I am, like, I got it all together, I would be completely missing the point. So like, yeah. It's like nothing by what I've done that's got me here. I mean, sure, like, I've made some decisions, but, it's really like mentors and God that's kind of like walked me through all this. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's big. Because definitely you have to thank other people, and I think have an attitude of appreciation
Sure.
for what you do have. And it is kind of tough because, it's kind of a fine line, because we kind of say you own your life, you own your decisions, like it's your life. You're kind of the product of your decisions, but at the same point, we don't live in a bubble. It takes getting help from others, getting wisdom from others, learning from others. Pretty much everything we know, we learned from somebody, whether it was a teacher or passively us researching something or reading something, or someone intentionally like poured into us.
And by that same token, like I feel like, it's our responsibility to also pour into others.
Yeah.
People are investing in us. We need to invest in others, whether it's, time or knowledge or money or just based on our resources. So like, we had this really cool opportunity to get this other house, and we weren't even really looking to buy a house, and it just kind of presented itself to us. And in short, like, it's a really cool opportunity to be able to allow people to stay with us. So, the past 3 or 4 weeks, we've had a couple that is moving back to Charleston that had nowhere to go.
Yeah,
they had a 2-year-old. She's 38 weeks pregnant. He's in the Coast Guard, so he got reassigned to Charleston. They had nowhere to go, so we're like, hey, we got this house where we can host and show hospitality. And so, like, part of the reason, and not the only reason, but part of the reason why we got this was to be able to, use our resources to help others. So, right before we kind of started this episode, I was telling you, like, through the Citadel, there's a bunch of cadets and knobs, which are freshmen, that are out of town that don't have a place to go on the weekends. Like, freshmen can't have cars. If you don't know anyone here, like, you have nowhere to go. So you might have a few classmates that are like from around the area, to where some people can go home with them. But you might have in your company 30 or 40 freshmen. You can't have 30 or 40 people over at one dude's house on the weekend. So like, we signed up to like take some freshmen in from out of town. So we're actually we signed up, and we're taking in 2, which is going to be cool. And, I'm sure those 2 are going to bring like their roommates over and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's pretty ambitious.
So yeah,
it'll be pretty cool. Most people don't even do 1.
Yeah. So like that's, we're just trying to be smart with our resources and be able to use them for, good purposes and helping other people out. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. The impact shouldn't stop with us.
Yeah.
Like, especially as leaders, I kind of look at us as, cause we're engineers, kind of look at us as conduit. It's like stuff should just pass right through us, which conduit's basically pipe for the for young listeners, basically just like feeder pipe. And so that's really good. Yeah, I'd like to know how that goes with your 2 host knobs. I guess that's what you call them, host knobs.
I guess
I started to call them minty knobs, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Did you ever get caught with like food as a knob in your room and they didn't like it?
No, like, I mean, so this is kind of weird. Like, most knobs, in the barracks, there's like 4 stories. You have four different flights, 4 different stories. Yeah, so anyways, almost all the knobs live on the 4th floor. Me and one other room of knobs, we actually lived on the 3rd floor with all the upperclassmen around us. And I don't know why that was, to be honest. Like, I think, they always start with a bunch of knobs, and as people quit, some of the knobs that were supposed to be on the 3rd floor went to the 4th. Somehow we got stuck on the 3rd floor the whole entire year, which kind of sucked, because all the upperclassmen that were like all around you, like, if they wanted something, they just come to your room.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
That is pretty unique.
It was kind of a different living situation, because like I couldn't like go out the door and like go to my buddy next door. Like, if I was to go out my door, it's probably with a bunch of upperclassmen out on the,
which we tried to avoid at all costs.
Yeah, so
walking and running around.
I did not try to stay in my room too much. Like, I'd be upstairs with the rest of the guys.
Okay, right.
or just I don't know.
Just find where the most amount of other guys
Yeah.
are and just go
I
to
do
their
have
room.
a funny kind of story. It has, I mean, it impacted me a little bit, but like my roommate Eric Donaldson. I don't know if you know Eric.
Yeah.
Eric.
I know all your buddies basically.
We were having like a field day, which is like basically where the whole entire corps goes out to the parade deck and just PTs and just, you know.
It's the one field day, whatever. It's like
Yeah.
a special Saturday.
Yeah, so it's like after an SMI before a football game, and there's this really big guy that was a senior when we were all knobs. His name is James McNeil, and he was a Summerall guard. His biceps were like bigger than my quads. Like he was just a huge, massive man, and like everyone was kind of like scared of him. And I don't think anyone knew this, but he was like black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Oh.
And he was, I mean, he's already a monster dude. And one of the upperclassmen was just like joking around, like, you know, people are like wrestling and like calling each other out to like, you know, wrestle, like what, I don't know,
Yeah.
guys being guys. And Eric, one of the guys said, "Who wants to wrestle McNeil?" And Eric kind of like raised his hand, like jokingly, and like put it down real quick, and then like expecting like, oh, no one saw him or whatever. And like,
Nice.
one of the upperclassmen, like, "Oh, Eric, or Mr. Knob
Donaldson.
Donaldson, like McNeil, he wants you or whatever." And so like McNeil walks over, and we're like, oh crap. And McNeil says, "I'll give you 5 seconds to come at me. After those 5 seconds, I'm going to get you regardless, so you better start." And so Eric goes and wraps his arms around his legs, trying to pick him up off the ground. And McNeil just like bends over, grabs him around his waist. And Eric's a big dude. I mean, he's probably like, you know, 6'2", 210, something. I mean, 220. And he bends over, like grabs him around his waist, throws him up on his shoulder, and like body slams him. Like jumps up in the air, like just complete body slams him. And we hear a crack. And his collarbone snapped in half.
No.
Yeah. So like, I mean, he was my knobby roommate, and basically.
I thought this was gonna be a funny story. I'm almost sad now.
No, what are you talking about?
No, just keep going.
So I was sleeping on the bottom bunk, and he was on the top bunk, and so yeah, basically that arrangement had changed. I had to go to the top bunk since he couldn't get up there.
But he just kept living life like normally.
I mean, he had to get a sling, and he couldn't march parade for a while and stuff. But,
Yeah.
and all ended up all healing up, but
It's just when I'm picturing snap in half, I'm like, oh my god.
not like like poking out of his skin or anything, but just
little
you know,
fracture in the collarbone.
yeah, it was just like fractured all the way through. Like, I mean, it wasn't like you could see that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was still pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got like a bunch of random weird stories like that, and then a bunch of other stories. But yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, no, a similar one, I guess. You know, not when I was a knob. I think I was a junior, but there was this one knob that there's always like one knob that is just really, really weird. Wouldn't you agree? At
Yeah.
least one. It's just
Yeah.
it's just weird, like not sure why they're even there. And somehow sometimes they make it through the whole thing and then they leave after making it through the whole thing. I don't know. But there was this one knob that was having a lot of trouble, and it's like field day similar or something. And he just like calls out one of the like Summerall guards, seniors, to like wrestle or something. And he just charges at him like without any strategy or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the senior, he straight up, picks him up, straight body slams him, and then just walks away. And we're all just like, well, that ended quickly.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
I think the one cool thing though is like a lot of the guys, like everyone, all the knobs in the company, you're all kind of thrust in the same situation. You're all like nothing, and you all have to kind of come together, make it through the year, and you build a lot of relationships, and you're forced to with people like you typically wouldn't talk to. So like, you know,
Yeah.
half the guys that I'm friends with, and we're like really close. You know, if I was up at Clemson, I probably would never have talked to them. So it's kind of cool having relationships with people that are not necessarily like you in all aspects.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone's pretty very different.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say a lot of the guys are like sport oriented.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys played high school football or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as just family backgrounds and like religious beliefs and I don't know, just what you want to do on the weekend.
Yeah.
Definitely a wide margin that gets all thrown together.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not you love each other's like beliefs, like once you go through those experiences, it's not like you look down on anybody. You're all kind of family.
Yeah.
So Cool. Well, with that, I think we'll take our quick break, and then, I don't know, we'll talk more about Citadel and maybe dumb stuff or good stuff.
Cool.
Whatever.
I'm game.
Sweet.
So I managed to find a treat. This is what we called at the Citadel the rain dance. To get out of the parade every Friday, we'd have the knobs try to dance the rain in. Check this stuff out.
So, talking about the Citadel. So one thing, a misconception about the Citadel is that it's just a military college, which that's its history. I think it should and for always will be its history, hopefully. But it's also a leadership laboratory. So leadership is a big thing, and I definitely think we're both who we are today because of not only the military aspect, I think, is the how. Mm-hmm. But really the outcome is you get an education and you become a principled leader is kind of the tagline that the Citadel uses. And so maybe if we can think back, especially the junior, senior years of our time at the Citadel, what leadership looked like for us or some stories, what rings a bell, whether we want to dive into like values or stories of what it looked like when you first took on leadership roles as a junior or senior.
Yeah, so like junior year, I was a first sergeant, which means like I'm the head junior in charge of a company.
That's a big position.
Yeah, so
the top junior.
Yeah, so you're like the top junior in the company. There's probably like 20 of these across like the whole school. So you probably have like 100 guys that are kind of like you're overseeing. So, I mean, there's a lot of times where you might have to make tough decisions against like even your friends, like if they're missing or they're AWOL or they're not showing up for things, like, you know, you have to kind of crack the whip. And I think it puts you into positions where you're not always the most well-liked, but, you know, you're making it's like, are you going to make the right call, or are you going to, you know, just try to cover for people? And I feel like there's times where, you know, that's where you have to use your own judgment of what's best. Mm-hmm. But there's definitely times where I was put in tough situations and had to make a decision. You know, I was in hotel company, but junior year actually was the Echo company first sergeant. So I actually had to move companies and like build relationships with people that I didn't really know as well through 2 years of school.
And that was a decision the school made, like you didn't request it.
Yeah,
right?
So like I was going out for a hotel company first sergeant with one of my other friends, and we were like both like equally like qualified, yeah, to get it. And they got all of our classmates from Echo, the ones that went in for it, I think they had a GPA issue where they didn't qualify to meet the requirement for first sergeant. So they were going to be pulling someone in from another company regardless. And the school thought it'd be best, since Echo Company and Hotel, like they're right next together and they have a pretty close working relationship, they thought it'd be best if I went in there versus someone from the outside. So kind of like right off the bat, some people thought like, you're just trying to come in just to have a leadership position. Like, you know, we don't want you here. You're not like one of us, sort of thing. But I think, you know, they realized that wasn't my intention. It's not necessarily what I wanted either. I mean, sure, I'd rather be, you know, my company's first sergeant versus another's, but like at the same time, if it wasn't going to be me, then who's it going to be? And I think ultimately would have been a lot worse of a situation for them. And I think, you know, over time they realized that themselves too. So I don't know. That was a different leadership role, because there was a lot of moving parts and a lot of different relationships that had to be made, and you know, you're like in charge, and yeah, it was a little difficult for a while.
Definitely. Yeah, and that's kind of a common thing. The top junior and top senior will switch companies like all the time. Yeah, like, it's not anything that's uncommon. Yeah. And there's reasons, there's pros, there's cons. It's probably different schools of thought on whether you know the top leader should be familiar with their people or should have kind of a distant,
I think like if you have more of a distant relationship, like you don't have like you're not playing favorites because like everyone, if you move to a different company, you don't know anyone, so like you can kind of treat everyone the same,
right,
and try to hold the same standard across the board.
Yeah, and that's a tough line. I don't think we could solve that question.
Yeah.
For for those listening, or just the mindset, because it is tough. What is your thought though on what the leader should be, whether they should have a distant relationship with their subordinates, if you want to use that word, or not?
I mean, I think relationships are always, you need to have those to be able to communicate and to be respected. I think respect goes a long way, and if people understand your intention, I think they will take a message a lot more intentionally and be able to relate to it more if they know kind of where you're coming from your heart. Like, if I didn't have a relationship with these guys and said, all right, this is what we're doing, and it's not what they wanted to hear, they're more likely to kind of like undermine my authority in a way. But if I have their respect and have built a relationship and show that these guys, like I care about them and want what's best for the company and what, just want to have everyone succeed and get through the school year all right without anyone getting kicked out and all this kind of stuff. Like if they know me and that's kind of what I want to have happen, then I earn their respect a lot more than someone just kind of just yelling out commands or whatever.
Right.
So I think relationships are important.
Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah,
I definitely agree, because there is that mindset. Is it better to be feared or to be loved, kind of thing. Not that they're mutually exclusive. But and I know you did a great job as first sergeant and then XO. So I mean, I can relate because I was the platoon sergeant, and I can even recall, like, I still look at this as one of the turning points in my leadership, because as a rising junior, as a junior first semester, you're basically a sophomore plus a few months as an early junior, and you're put into these new roles. You get maybe a little bit of training. Maybe you can even talk about the training for first sergeant if you wanted, but as a non-cadre platoon sergeant, I don't recall getting necessarily trained per se. I mean, I knew my roles and responsibilities, but I can still remember, it's probably the first month of school, and there's most of the guys are younger than me, but there were even a few guys that were older than me that are under my authority as platoon sergeant. And I can still remember, like, we were the last platoon to go to mess, and that's always not a good situation whenever everyone in the battalion's gone to eat lunch or whatever, and you're still hanging out for one reason or another. And I remember, it was breakfast actually, but I remember we were trying to figure out signing up for our weekend leave, because it was like they were like about to process who signed up for weekend passes or however it was working. And so if you didn't sign up now, you like couldn't leave for the weekend. So we were taking extra time, and then I was the last to sign up for a weekend pass. I let everyone else sign up, but I was kind of holding the platoon up, and a lot of them were voicing their discontent. Yeah. And I remember snapping, like yelling out profanity kind of thing, and it was just not a good way to settle the situation. If people are angry or yelling at you, it's usually not, I don't think, a good response to add to that aggression. And so we marched to mess, and it was kind of awkward because I then had to yell cadence, and it's like people are still like talking, and just not about my leadership in the moment. Yeah. And I remember a few of the guys who were ringleaders in that discontent. Before lunch, I remember I pulled them to the side and apologized, like, explain the situation, because they didn't necessarily understand, I think, why we were last to mess, but explain the situation, apologize, kind of laid out some expectations of like what they can expect from me as their platoon sergeant, like kind of what I expect of them. And after that, like, we had a much better relationship with those guys and just as the platoon as a whole. Because sometimes you can have people who are like leaders that aren't in a leadership position, and if they're discontent at something, if they voice their discontent, people just follow, like, pretty easily. And so I remember that was a big leadership lesson, just getting humble, lowering myself to apologize and to slow down, lay out some expectations, talk one-on-one with some of these guys, develop their relationships, like you said. But that was one of the first times junior year that I think things started turning around. Did you have any similar experiences where you like really learned a lesson from it?
I just remember nothing's like really popping out to me, but I just remember struggles and having to figure out ways to overcome them. Like, at the very beginning, when all the knobs come in, you have all the cadre that are training the knobs, upperclassmen, and I'm in this new company in Echo and still trying to build these relationships, but we're also trying to train knobs at the same time and like give them like a real like fourth class system. And for some reason or another, I don't remember exactly what happened, but basically a knob quit and like ratted on a lot of my cadre leadership.
And what do you mean by ratted?
Like some of the stuff like he's straight up told were like lies that they did to him, but that weren't true. But for a while, like my cadre was like removed from leadership positions to where, it was really hard to train knobs when you have like half the people that's supposed to be doing their job. You're trying to fill in. You're trying to like cross train with different people that have different jobs just to kind of fill the gaps. So, I just remember, having just dealing with tough circumstances, but just take it one day at a time. You can only do is the best that you can, and whatever happens beyond that, there's some things that are out of your control. But I think going to school, the main thing is just like, especially like being a knob and just going through the whole system. You can just only just focus one day at a time and just not worrying about the next day. But that worry is not going to help you at all getting the task accomplished right in front of your face. So
yeah. I think expectations too. I think some students will go in there like expecting it to maybe be easier than it is, or they play a victim and just think like they're being treated way more harshly than other people. And if they are, whether it's true or not, there's probably reasons for that. Not everyone's going to be treated the same. If you seem disobedient, you're going to get more attention.
Yeah.
But I think people sometimes come in with different expectations of what it's going to be like, and then it's like, oh crap, this is really hard. Like my first roommate during Hell Week, he quit in less than a week, and he was a bigger guy than me, like the kind of guy, because I was somewhat of a small athlete, but I'm at least pretty fit. Mm-hmm. I mean, this was a bigger guy. He played rugby in high school. He quit in a week. I think he had different maybe expectations, but he quit before the school year even started, because the first week is just all training, no school classes, and so all the upperclassmen are just focused on you as a knob. But maybe about expectations, did you have any different expectations, or what did you expect of the school when you were going in, and then even as it progressed?
As far as like expectations, like I think the school is really close to kind of what I thought it was going to be. I think there is kind of the main difference is the role between the cadets and that administration of the school. Like that's always like the huge issue that seems to always never end.
Right.
The school is worried about lawsuits and legal battles and being in the news the bad way, so they're trying to not make the school like too much of a cupcake type situation, like trying to make it too easy to where you don't ever have to worry about being in the news or worry about hazing situations. But at the same time, like the cadets, they're wanting to make it what for the incoming freshmen, like how it was for them, or they're trying to like lead the way. You got a bunch of guys that may have little to no leadership experience that are now all thrust into leadership positions, and it's just a bunch of teenagers / pretty much teenagers trying to lead other teenagers. So like things are going to happen, but there's always been the struggle of the school kind of against the cadets, and like there's always the term the core leading the core. Like,
right, I was going to say that.
Like cadets leading themselves versus the school leading themselves. And I do think, and I wish while I was there, I guess my expectation was like cadets would have, not like we didn't have a say in like the day-to-day activities, or like, we didn't have a say in how we were to train the knobs, but, we could get overruled really quickly, or if things were not going up to the way that the school wanted them to go, like they would just change it on you like that without, the cadets really having to say in things. So
yeah, and that can easily turn into you like doing things without asking, and maybe if you get caught, then asking for forgiveness or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to leadership involves trust. Technically, the school's kind of leading us as cadets, and then we were leading the underclassmen. It's all a chain. But it involves empowerment and trust. And yeah, I think almost any alumni would agree that the school has plenty of room to grow, which is easy for us to say, as alumni or as current, cadets that are saying that. But I definitely agree. It is an area with room to grow on what that line should be in lawsuits. But I'll tell you, and maybe we can even talk about it. I think most of the quote unquote hazing stuff that's in the news is so blown out of proportion.
Sure.
But so many people, if they don't go to the Citadel, haven't been, that's all they see is those allegations. And I don't know if there's a solution necessarily. Do you have any thoughts on a solution?
So like hazing?
No, well, maybe. I guess defining the problem, there's a lot to the problem, I think. It's these students that have different expectations, and then they go, it's not what they think, and then they leave, and then they just blow everything out of proportion. I almost wonder if there should be a different vetting process, if there even is one.
Like, I mean, you submitted an application. That's about all they know of you before they accept you.
Yeah, it's like maybe a resume. I don't even know if
an
you
interview.
do resumes.
I don't know.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Because it's very when, and I don't know how it would work, but like when you're a first sergeant, you have all the knobs report to you on the first day. You show up to campus. Like all the freshmen come in, the first thing they do is check into the first sergeant, and
right.
I can see that some of the guys, like straight off the bat, they're like they have no idea what they're getting themselves into. Like some of them, you could tell like they did not even want to be there on the first day. And like those are the kids that are, I don't know, that end up blowing things up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like we said, there's always like one or two knobs. There's like, did you even know this was a military school?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I think there's even been people that have reported, maybe more athletes than anything, because athletes sometimes they'll get recruited, get put on scholarship, and the coaches will just tell them, so I've heard, will just tell them, yeah, you have to wear a uniform, but it's like whatever.
Yeah, you don't really have to live on campus.
It's all optional.
Yeah, it's
the
all
military thing. It's all optional.
No, it's not.
Yeah. You have to do ROTC class. You have to wear the uniforms.
To live on campus all 4 years.
Or at least, you are obligated to live on campus. Some people will lease out places, as we know, to go during the weekends and stuff. Or maybe they'll just sneak out, go AWOL. It's like, whatever. The military thing is optional. I don't have to sleep on campus.
Yeah.
I'll go sleep somewhere at the Call to Charleston, or sleep with my parents, or sleep at my high school buddy's place or whatever. But I think that could be part of the solution, because definitely we want school to be better, right? But what would you say to those students that are considering that kind of environment, a military environment, different college experience? What would you say to those kind of students?
I mean, anyone can do it. I don't think the school is so hard, or any kind of school where it's like a different environment like that is something that's not achievable. I mean,
so that's a big statement.
Sure.
That a lot of people probably need to hear. Anybody can do it.
Sure.
And actually, not to go into it, I had to get a waiver to go.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. I mean, you had to take me to the ER like 6 or 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I got too dehydrated.
Right.
To the point that I need an IV bag. Well, the condition that caused that to happen whenever we were about to get burgers, I was born with. I had to get a waiver because it's on the Army like exempt list. So not that I'm any kind of necessarily like the greatest stud or anything, but I got through it. Like plenty of other people have gone through it throughout time that you would think, really,
I mean, I think with any kind of adversity or challenge, it is what you make it. And if you go in with the mindset and with the if it's something that you want, it's something you can achieve. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing that's too big, and it's not. And at the same time, like, it's not like you're going to be going through it by yourself. And that's where, like, building relationships with your classmates and people that can help you through the process. Because, like, there's always going to be, there's always the term, like, oh, we want him to break. Like, everyone's going to get to a breaking point at some point throughout the year.
Yeah, it's gonna be really, really freaking difficult.
And it's just like life. Like, there's always going to be adversities, whether it's death or whether it's sickness or whether it's financial problems or job loss or something. There's always going to be, like, a breaking point where you have to, like, find a will and a way to get through trials. So, like, I don't see the Citadel as, like, a trial that no one cannot do. It's just, you have to not give up.
Yeah.
So, but again, not everyone wants that. But for those that do, it's like it's not something you can't achieve.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to decide, I think, and commit that you're going to make it through, like, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
I think at some point and I'm reading a book by Tony Robbins. I don't know if you're a fan of Tony, but, and I kind of just started it. But he talks about how all of our decisions are not necessarily based on reason. It's usually based on pain versus pleasure. And I think a lot of times people think that the pain of continuing is worth more than the future pain of regret. And I think they lose sight of why they even want to go to the Citadel. At some point, a lot of times people leave after one of the breaks, like Christmas break.
It's like, oh man, home's nice. What am I doing down there? Like,
Yeah.
Why don't I just go to a technical college and I'll figure out my plan for life later on?
They go visit their friends. They go to normal colleges.
Yeah.
They see how much fun they're having, and in their mind, they're doing just as good, if not better. In their mind, their future is going to be equal, to a Citadel education. And maybe it is, could be even better, whatever. But I've found, a lot of the people that I went to high school with, they went a fifth year to college for one reason or another, either too much partying or they just wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
They just wanted to stay there a fifth year at Citadel. You want to get the heck out of there.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that's money that they've saved as well. But I guess my point being there is they lose sight of what they really wanted, like why they even wanted to go in the first place. Because you have to have a why, I think with, pretty much with anything in life, it is kind of what you make it. Like, if you want it to be like something that is going to be like a stepping stone, to how to handle adversity later on in life, or if it's like, if you want leadership opportunities, or if you want, to build, not saying you can't build like lifelong friendships, but be able to put in that kind of environment that, once you get through college, like unless you actually go into the military, like there's no other like thing that you can do later on in life that, you're put into that. So I was like, you're saying a lot of people don't get tested.
Right.
Is that kind of what you're saying?
Sure. Like, besides like life's tests, like, once you get through college, like there's really nothing you can compare it to. Like if you don't go to like a military school, like, I don't know, where else are you going to get like that kind of exposure and brokenness from, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
there's very few opportunities.
Yeah.
That very few people do.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of people miss sight of that too. The preparation that experience would make for the future. Because I think a lot of people think the degree is like the end. They've done the primary education for 12 years. They've made it through the 4 years of college. And then it's like, that's the end. Like, we made it to the finish line. When, at least the way I look at it, that's really, it is kind of a finish line, but it's also the start of a whole new race.
Yeah.
And I think they do miss sight of how that season of life is connected to the next and to the next. Are there any examples you could cite just in the last 4 years that we've been out that you're like, Citadel really helped prepare me, or those experiences help prepare me for this?
I think professionally, like, there's always times where you have especially like in an engineering setting, like, when we call it a day, when we're at work, there's always like, unlike clocking in and clocking out at some other like jobs, like what you don't accomplish doesn't roll over to the following day. Like, we have projects that are like ongoing, and like sometimes it's difficult to not want to leave work at work. Like it's really easy just to bring that home with you because it's like,
Right.
you know, you got projects and things that you're thinking about in your mind, and it's not like, you know, I have all the respect in the world for nursing because my wife's a nurse, and like it's something I could never do. But you know, when she's out of the hospital for the day, she's like just like she's done. Like she's done her time in there, and that you know, the next day is a new day, and she can, you know, start fresh. Like there's not really a whole lot of starting fresh when you're working for an engineering firm because like you're not starting with a new fresh clean slate of projects every day. Like it's ongoing, and sometimes like, you know, depending on what you're working on, it can get burdensome. You're like, man, I'm like done with this. And you could be working on 3 or 4 things at the same time. They all have tight deadlines. You're trying to, you know, meet with clients. You're trying to like, you know, get permits and all. And sometimes like, it's just like, sometimes it can be like burdensome. Like, why did I pick engineering? Like, and it's like the same thing. Like, why did I go to the Citadel? Like you have those similar thoughts to where I can be like, you know, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this is what I enjoy doing just because I'm having like a bad couple of weeks, you know.
Right.
I can get through this, and then, you know, the you know, riding through the valleys and the peaks of life. Like, I don't know. I think it really helps prepare you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot in time management there, and I'll even reiterate the ability to look back on experiences. I think is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to look back at successes. And then you look at your current situation in that context, and you're like, well, this is a piece of cake compared to something else that I've done.
Yeah.
You know, especially the first few months of sophomore year at the Citadel.
There's a lot to. I guess that's a good point. Like comparing like the Citadel to like Clemson.
Man, we're really bashing on.
Man, and I love Clemson. I'm a Clemson.
Your wife went
fan.
to Clemson,
so I'm just okay. Compare the
they
Citadel
have great
to
football.
They do. Comparing the Citadel to like USC.
Yeah, so the Gamecocks under the bus.
There are a lot of life learning opportunities at the Citadel that you can kind of look and point towards for like valleys and peaks. Like, not saying that there aren't those at USC. I didn't go to regular college, so I don't know. But I feel like, you know, we have a lot to look back on as far as like overcoming adversity that I think some kids that went to regular college don't have.
Yeah.
And I know, like, you know, we're both Citadel alums, so we're like just like really talking the school up. And
Dude, it's what we're here for. They ought to donate money to this podcast immediately after this.
I know we're gonna have like a bunch of new applicants because of this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know if they would though, because I feel like whenever you get realistic, you kind of tell the goods and the bads. But yeah, talking about experiences looking back on, I mean, I know you have plenty. You know, that you've already described. You also did junior sword drill, which was a huge thing, which we probably won't get into. I did bond volunteer training, which we probably won't get into, but I remember even looking back, and I made it through bond volunteer training, and I still remember like the first day. I mean, the first day they really try to almost get you to quit. They almost kicked me out. Well, I got put in the duck butts, obviously. You know, I got put in the short squad. Because of some circumstances, I got pulled out of there and put in one of the cut squads, and that was a lot of fun. But I made it through. And for those, I mean, bond volunteer training, you can kind of YouTube it, I guess, but it's whether that's a good or bad thing, there's videos up there. But it's basically for like 3 weeks, 3-hour-a-day training, PT, physical training, some drill, and then first semester there's knowledge that you have to learn and some other things. But I still look back at that, and I don't really tell people. Sometimes I'll even still do Cheerio. So I was like, "Oh, you're that alum." Well, yeah. Sometimes it's like a physical reminder to me of like, this might be difficult, but people probably can't tell, whatever. But it's like a physical reminder of I've made it through something way more challenging than what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
And whatever. For those listening, Cheerios just, I don't know, it's the thing you do with your hands. Cheerios, but not too tight. It's got to be loose.
Yeah.
It's got to be loose. But I love looking back on those experiences. It's like you said, Citadel, just like life, is what you make of it. A lot of this stuff is optional. You know, like junior sword drill, bond volunteer, that's junior year stuff. It's optional. And there's plenty of other things that you get into. So I just love the opportunities too that it provides. I think it provides opportunities like no other school for personal growth. Certainly there'll be some people that make it through and maybe it's not so well. I don't know. But I definitely think that we've transitioned into the adult world, getting jobs, which is sort of like part of the reason why you go, is to get a job. Like I said, it's not just to get that degree. But I think that's good. Were there any other lessons or anything you want to share about Citadel experience?
So we have a schedule at school that pretty much outlines every single block. There's like a time block of, where you're supposed to be. If you're not in class, like you either have like a parade practice, or you have parade, or you have, every single time block is filled up with something throughout the day.
From like 7 a.m. or even 5:30 a.m. for those that do military PT until like 11 p.m. which just says lights out. Taps and lights out.
So like every single day, there's something that you're supposed to be doing, and if there's free time, that free time is when you're trying to, recover or go to the gym or do something, But I think what it shows you is like once you get into the real world, like, I'm used to always being so busy, and I feel like I can accomplish a lot more, always being, used to being underneath the gun all the time. Like I can feel like I can accomplish a lot more. And then when I do have free time, like, I don't know. I just always I feel like a really strong work ethic to where even during downtime, like I'm always just like ready to go. Like,
I'd agree. Even for me,
I just like staying busy and always just like, I'm always looking at the next task. Now that can also be like a bad thing, because then I'm always like, sometimes like my wife wants to just be able to chill at the end of the day, and I'm just like, all right, what's next on the? Every single week, I make a list of things that need to get done, and this is just like things outside of like work itself,
right?
Of like things that need to happen on the weekend or this and that. And sometimes I feel like that's a bad thing, because I don't go with the flow enough, and I think there's some value there too. But I'm just like having like a really structured, experience while I was at school allows me to like, get a lot done. Like, I don't know.
Right. Just do work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. I don't necessarily as much like create a daily training schedule. I probably should. I think it's more mental now. It's like, sorry, I already have in my mind, because I'm habitual. I like to wake up. Usually I'll read the Bible a little bit first thing. Maybe I'll read whatever development book I'm reading. Lately I've been doing a lot of rucking, kind of, instead of PT in the morning. Some rucking with like a weighted vest, with that training mask. Sometimes I wear that training mask. Scare some people.
You're cool.
I do it. That's exactly why I do it. To look cool. I think it's pretty good though. I've been able to run with it too. It's been fun, but yeah. To my point, I'm more habitual with the training schedule, because it's not as varied. But it'd probably be good though, a good exercise for me, for anybody, just to start writing down maybe for a week, like what you're gonna do every block, and then commit to it. And yeah, even for you, like this morning, you got a lawnmower.
Yeah.
It's like a little average Saturday morning. Let's go get a lawnmower.
Yeah.
And from Craigslist or wherever you got it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Right? You got to get things done. How else are you going to cut the grass on your stinking, 2-acre lot that you got?
Not 2 acres.
With your stinking 4,000 square foot home, man. What do you do? You need a heavy-duty vacuum cleaner. You need an Orkin or...
But I think there is some value into rest. So even though I say like I'm a busy bee, but like, I feel like there are times where like you need to give yourself like a mental and physical like checkout,
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I think it's good for you.
Yeah. Well, everyone's different too. You're so outdoorsy. You'd probably agree, I think, that you get some rest from like going out, either mountain biking maybe or just
that kind
hiking.
of, even though it's physical, it is still kind of my rest, because that's like where I kind of just like completely like blank out and just like I'm outside, I'm just out in the fresh air, like that's just kind of like where I just like kind of in my mind just kind of get renewed.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone's different. And I'm definitely a fan, because like for me, cycling in circles at Hampton Park was like where I zone out, because I don't have to worry about getting hit by a car. I know how many miles I'm going, how fast I'm going, because of my cyclometer. I don't have to worry about stopping. And everyone's different, but I think that's kind of a misconception. People think the only rest they can have is like sitting on a couch, when in reality, I think that zaps our energy. You know, I think you create energy almost by using energy.
Yeah.
In a sense. At times.
That just kind of makes sense. You know, if I'm sitting down, I have little motivation to get up and want to do something.
Yeah.
To where I end up just, if I'm sitting down, like, there's nothing wrong with sitting down and watching a game or whatever.
Yeah,
but
there's nothing wrong with any of that.
No, but like, you know, if I make that like the first thing I do in the morning, I feel like that's like how my day is going to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Start your day kind of not lazy, but start your day passive. You might continue your day passive, perhaps. That's good. Do you have any, like, in the morning, any habits that you do or anything like that?
I do. Now, since I am very active, you know, typically during the week, I do like to sleep in. So I'm not a very much of a morning person. I mean, I still get up. I don't know if sleeping in is like 8 o'clock. I get up at 8 o'clock almost every day.
Yeah.
Even during the work week. I mean, our office, I live like 2 minutes away from work, so I can literally wake up at 7:30 and get in the office by 8 o'clock and not be an issue. But like, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, I work out with a friend in the morning. He lives right around the corner from me.
Oh, cool.
We're in a small group, so we'll wake up at 5:30 and meet up at 5:45. Go for a 3 to 5 mile run. Might lift a little bit of weights. Kind of just get up in the morning and go into work. On the weekends, typically Sunday, we have a Sunday school, go to church.
Yeah.
Saturdays, just kind of cut the grass, whatever I need to get done,
The life of owning land.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, I get this condo. I pay for it in my HOA fee, for sure. But luckily, I don't have to spend time necessarily cutting grass. One day, though. Well, cool. Well, then, as a final thought, any like belief or value that you'd like to share with the audience, whether it's connected to the Citadel or not? Any encouragement you'd like to give as we begin and close?
I think the main thing, I feel like we kind of talked about us being young professionals. I think I just like to reiterate, that I think it's really important to have people speaking truth into your life, whether it's through a community or small group or parents or whoever. Like, I know that's really helped me out a lot as far as getting to where I am. Yeah. And I think God places people in your life for certain reasons. I feel like He places certain opportunities in your life for certain reasons. So I feel like it's important to always kind of be seeking Him through all different circumstances or life decisions. And I don't know. Yeah,
that's good. Well, cool. Well, I think with that, we'll begin to close it down. You got any shout outs or things you want to plug, things you want to promote?
I mean, I feel like we've already promoted the school enough, so I don't think we need to say anything more about it.
Well, to be clear, this wasn't necessarily a promotion for the school. Actually, I was more afraid we'd throw the school under the bus. But any things though you want to plug the school? Is that what you're gonna plug?
Sure, I'll plug the school.
Plug your company.
No.
Or your Citadel company, I more mean.
Hotel company?
Hotel company.
Yeah.
Sweet. Anything else? This is your opportunity. You can make millions here.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good.
The future engineering firm we create.
Crystal Springs Water. Yeah, Buhler and Taylor.
No. Taylor and Buhler.
No, I don't think so.
Citadel Engineering by Taylor and Associates.
Gotta give me credit, man.
Associate. There won't be more. We'll have a monogamous associateship, if that's a word. Sweet.
You made it into one.
Yeah, it's going to be on Urban Dictionary soon.
Well.
Anything else you want to plug?
Let's eat some burgers.
Sweet. Yeah, we're about to go to Daniel Island Grill. Check it out if you're in Charleston.
That's a wrap.
Maybe they'll hear this and want to donate or something. Or get free burgers. We'll tell them we promoted you on a podcast recently. Well, sweet, dude. Well, thanks for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it. I think this will be encouraging for those that are listening.
We'll do it again.
Oh, I guess I'll plug too. We're on Facebook. Check us out. Not just you. I'm more talking to those listeners. At Generation Giants. Check it out. Like it. Follow it. Whatever. We're on Twitter. We're on the YouTube. Most people are probably listening on iTunes, but subscribe on iTunes. Leave a review. What else?
I'll have to get my wife on here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Since like she's kind of, I know this is kind of geared a little bit towards students, but like she's a nurse, but she also teaches at Charleston Southern University.
Yeah.
She teaches like fresh new nursing students, so she might have some good input.
Sweet. I've got a reference for a future guest.
There we
Makes
go.
my life easier.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Well, I think that's it.
Make it happen.
Let's do it.